If you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance that you're a hunter or you just enjoy the great outdoors. Now's the time to step up. There have been countless efforts to vilify hunters, denounce the legitimacy of the science-based wildlife management model. There's no science to this stance, and it is solely emotionally charged. We don't want to see what happened with the grizzly hunt replay itself again with the remaining large carnivores and big game species. It's a slippery slope, folks. We need to stand together. Now is the time for hunters to be united across all organizations and show our combined support. Please go to wildsheepsociety.com/act now and follow the steps. It doesn't take much time, and it will help save the future of hunting. This applies to residents and non-residents alike. Please, let's use our voice and be heard. On with the show, folks. This is episode 36 of the Wilderness Locals podcast. On this episode, we have a special guest, my hunting mentor, Ronny. Ronny is very humble in his accomplishments, but he's killed more than smallpox. He's a great dude with excellent insight into what it takes to be successful in the field. This podcast is brought to you by Kafaru International, the toughest hunting gear on the planet, bar none. Frontiersman gear, high quality, completely custom, handmade knives made in the heart of the Peace Country. And as always, we're brought to you by Just Shooting Arrows, BC's premier archery shop. He didn't have a taste for it. He knew he always wanted to be like in the bush. And his whole book, that book takes him from like when he's a kid to like failing in school and stuff to going up there and working when he was like 18 years old.
Cool.
Super.
What an adventure, eh? Can you imagine? Like, I just can't imagine leaving everything behind, not knowing how you're going to get there, if you're going to get there, if you're going to get robbed along the way. Like, I don't know. It's such a different way of life back then. Yeah. Same with my dad. Like, he grew up in Paraguay. Like, when he was 14, he was working in the logging camps. 2 days journey from, or was it 3 days journey from where his mom was. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, his dad says, okay, it's time for school. Go home. He's like, he didn't have a nickel to rub together. He had to walk for like 20K, then hitchhike, then take a boat. And then I think it was even a train or something crazy, like in the middle of South America. And just a 14-year-old boy. It's like, okay, yeah, no problem. Jeez. Like, can you imagine? No. Like, I'd be on the side of the road crying.
Could you imagine sending one of your kids like that?
Yeah. No, I can't.
Right? I wouldn't send my kids to the mailbox by themselves right now.
Let alone take a bus from here to Stanley Park.
Right? Could you imagine?
That's the kind of stuff I did growing up. Yeah. But it's just different times. It's different generations. We're now podcast generation. We're GPS generation, tracking generation, Instagram generation. Like, my parents don't know what that is. Yeah. Nor did they ever need it. But man, the guy gets lost in the bush and he finds his way out. Yeah. Me, I'm like, oh, where's my battery? Where's my backup battery? Where's my iPhone? Yeah. Like, it's just different. So it's kind of hard to think like these guys were back then. Yeah. We just see it from our perspective. But it's interesting to know that a lot of those guys in their time were very similar because they were resourceful. They knew how to find game, to stay alive. Yeah. It's an interesting thing to look back on and say, wow,
I love all those.
There was men back then. And even the women, right? Like, yeah, they were tough. No doubt. Work a washboard one time, right? Like, yeah. My forearms would be done. Yeah, right. I love all those old books, man. Like, they I don't know, they like, there's that one Val Geist book. It's like Of Mountain Sheep and Men. And it's like paints the super romantic northern BC stone sheep picture, and like that's what actually we should talk about that. That's what happened to me with you. So sorry, Tyler.
Yeah, right. So I brought this up to you the other day actually when we were talking, how my first kind of like, not my first hunting memory, but like my first like our first discussion about hunting ever, you were explaining this story to me where you guys, I don't remember the circumstances or where you were, but you guys were like cliffed out and I can't remember why you couldn't make it all the way back to camp. So you guys were like spiking out on some like ripped apart wind ridge that was like you're freezing and shivering. And this was like before I'd ever hunted. And I was like, man, these guys are insane. It sounds awesome. Like just like totally like sunk the hook in. I'm like, oh, that sounds insane. I'm in. Like,
yeah. Like I couldn't tell you which one that was because we've done a few of them like that. But each trip is unique, it's special, and the memories, I wish they remained, but I forget so quick.
Yeah,
that's why I'm glad there's always another season. Like I really need to relive it, redo it, and do it differently and do it new, so that it stays fresh.
Yeah,
for sure. Some things just stay in there. But other things, like you just got to go again. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's not like watching reruns. It's always a new season.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I think I was like in my early 20s when you told me that story, and like I remember, like I think it totally got the wheels turning. Like I think I want to do that, and you guys have so many cool stories, right? And like, it's the other thing I can't remember. I was probably saying to my wife, like, when I got going hunting, I didn't know the mentorship that I had built into hunting, just because you were my friend before I ever got into hunting, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I came into hunting, and just like so everybody listening knows, like I came into hunting with my family was all hunters, but it skipped a generation. My dad never got into it, and so it just so happened that Ronnie's been like a almost lifelong friend of mine, right? And I started hunting, and kind of Ron took me under his wing and showed me the ropes. And I didn't know that I had like a stone sheep hunter extraordinaire. You're gonna get pissed off that I said that, but
I don't know. We all just practice. We're all just trying.
Yeah. So you grew up hunting, right?
I grew up hunting. Yep. I learned from my dad. Yeah. I learned from his dad. My parents grew up in Paraguay, South America. Yeah. Pretty difficult times down there. He never really knew what it was to be full because there wasn't food around to be full.
Yeah.
Really interesting. So he was running around in the bush with a slingshot, shooting little doves, pigeons, and he was the envy of the colony. He lived in little colonies down there.
Cool.
And he was the envy of the colony because he was a good shot, which meant he always had a little bit of meat to eat.
Yeah.
So he learned from his dad. Now my grandfather, he was a real man. I don't want to get into all the backstories, but he had to do everything from scratch.
Yeah.
He got interested in. He didn't grow up in a hunting family, but since he was a young boy in South America, nature was right in their back door. So they would have, they would eat what they could kill. Some really strange animals too, from armadillos to you name it, right? Now the cool thing with my grandfather is there was a guy, I don't know if it was his teacher or somebody who came from the States, and it's one of those famous museums, not the Smithsonian, but something like that. I should have got the info before I came here, but
that's okay.
But this man came to South America, and he needed a few pairs of every type of bird that was in Paraguay.
Oh, wow.
And he needed a sidekick. My grandpa was the sidekick.
That's sweet.
So he was the 12-year-old boy who would run into the swamp, into the jungle infested swamp, and take whatever bird this mentor of his would shoot.
That's cool.
So there's a lot of cool stories. So that's where, let's say, the hunting came from. When my grandfather showed my father, and then when my parents moved to Canada, when they got married, my mom's uncles were into hunting. So they took my dad under their wing and showed him the same spot where we went this last year.
Nice.
And yeah, it was, we really have a hunting generation, or not generation, but a family history, a legacy of hunting. And it's not to kill game. It's not to, like, there's so many ways of being fed, but there's a lot of, important spiritual aspects to being away as a group of men or a group of or a family, living in the wilderness, doing what has been done for millennia, seeing what nature has to offer for us.
Yeah.
And I think it's fascinating. I mean, there's from a campfire in the evening to the songbirds in the morning. Like, there's cool stuff out there.
Oh yeah.
And I do feel sorry for people who can't get out of their concrete jungle and stop and actually enjoy it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, we're lucky. Like,
we're
our eyes are open, right?
I say it regularly on this thing how lucky we are to live in BC.
For sure, for sure. I mean, we got everything here. We really do. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lander on a few podcasts ago was calling BC like the Serengeti of the North, right? Mm-hmm. We're so lucky.
Yeah. He probably coined that phrase from this. Anyway, never mind.
Nice.
Different place I've seen.
Oh yeah. I think a bunch of people say it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. So you grew up in BC, and you grew up hunting. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. And you became a big mountain guy. But how did you get there?
Oh man, Tyler, how much time do we have?
Right. When we could skip pretty far ahead or whatever you want to do. But I was gonna say, like, when did you first start flying into places?
So I hunted till I was probably about 15 or 16, and then life got busy as a teen, they always do with jobs. So there was probably 3 or 4 years where like it didn't even cross my mind. Before I just did it, just, it was something fun to do. Yeah. Just like fishing is something fun to do, or camping or skateboarding or whatever you like. And then I came home. I went out to Bible school for a couple of years, and then I came back, and my grandfather had two sets of antlers from some blacktail. Cool. Really big blacktail that a guy who was my age had shot. He had shot those. I think he actually took both of those that same year. That's wild. And we were all just looking at those antlers, and I'm like, wow, those are really big. And my dad made a comment that, like, when people make comments and it sticks you in the heart. Yeah. My dad said, man, that Raphael is a good hunter. And I'm like, I want him to say that about me. Yeah. It was that itch that needed to be scratched. So I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it. Yeah. So it was that was a little bit of the spurring on that I needed to think outside the regular box of going to a local blacktail spot or some of these mule deer spots that I've grown up hunting. Yeah. So it was one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I'd like to pursue that. So I said to my dad, let's go deer hunting. So we went to one of these little islands and went for some blacktail. Yeah. And sure enough, we came across this little 2-point, and now a blacktail 2-point is, for me, it's a big buck. Yeah. They don't come around too often. And my dad's like, there he is. Shoot him, son. Shoot him, son. For the life of me, I didn't see him. They just blend into the underbrush. Oh yeah. And he's like, son, he's walking away. I'm like, Dad, I don't see him. He's like, he's right in front of you. To this day, I've never seen that deer. And I remember being so upset with myself, going, how is it that it seemed that, my buddy was successful. My dad can see deer. I'm not the dumbest guy out there, but why can't I do this? It was just like this culmination of, no, I'm going to figure this out. So I just had to get behind it. Yeah. And that's when I said to my dad, let's go hunting seriously. Like he had back in the early 90s done a couple of fly and hunting trips. Yeah. And I remember the stories, but I'm like, I want to live those. So this is now late 90s. So it was probably 8-9 years after he had done it the last time. And I said, let's go for elk. Let's go for moose. Like, never done that before. So he says, you want a son? It's a whole different story. It's not these little island deer we're shooting. Like, we're going to be in the bush. So I said, yeah, let's do it. And that's when it all started. That's when the mountain hunting started. As soon as that plane dropped us off, we had planned for 6 months, like this gear, that gear. Of course, all of our gear that we have now is 100% different than what we had back then.
Yeah.
We had a big, like 90-pound canvas tent that we spike camped. It was crazy. But like, if you don't know, you don't know. Like, you know, you got to learn. You got to learn from someone.
You take your lumps, right?
Totally. So we did that trip, and I still remember like so much excitement and nervousness and energy that was going into the lead up to this. And then the plane drops us off, and he says, the pilot says in his thick accent, he says, "Okay, boys, see you in 2 weeks." Turns around and flies away. And I just looked at the tail of this plane and the water splashing off of his pontoons. And I'm thinking, wow, this is real. Like, what happens now?
Yeah.
And this excitement and scared all set in.
Oh, yeah.
That truly, like, you cannot even imagine until it's there. Like, Tyler, it is this rush of scared and adrenaline that I've never had before.
So good.
And I've had it only a few times, and it's always been on the fly-in when the pilot turns around and says, "See you later."
See you guys.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, that really got me going in the mountains.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like, now my dad's showing me his stomping grounds where he had taken elk, where he had taken moose, where he had taken that same grandfather of mine and got him some success. And yeah, it was truly wild.
Yeah. How did that first fly-in hunt go with Dad there?
Oh man, it was really good. Really good. We came out with nothing.
Perfect.
But
as it should, right? As
Tyler,
you should.
Tyler, you know, this is where the best laid plans just, what's the saying? Don't work. I don't know.
Yeah.
My dad says to me, "Son, we'll have a moose down in 2 days." Like, this is where they are. Knowing what it was 10 years before.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so we don't need to buy too much meat then. Oh, no, just potatoes, rice, noodles, sauce. That's all we need. Enough to get through like maybe 3 days. So 14 days later, still no animal down. We're living off of potatoes and rice with very little salt. It was awful.
Oh, no.
But it was awesome.
Yeah. That sounds rough.
Yeah. It's gotten me to where I am now.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit more prepared than I was in the late 90s.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. That's hilarious. You guys are spiking it with a 90-pound canvas tent. That's insane.
I got pictures of this tent. You wouldn't believe it. You'd see it and say, "Oh yeah, okay, that's a cool, really old tent." And then I could show you on the map where it is from the lake where we flew in. You'd be like, "No, there's no way you did that."
Yeah.
That's what we did. We had one sleeping bag, one foamy, and a tarp, and 2 of us were sleeping in that.
That's insane. It's funny because now you and I are like texting gear back and forth all day long every day, and it's like, "Oh, but this is a half pound lighter than that, but it's not as durable." And then you go back a little ways and you're talking about 90-pound tents. That's insane, right? That's not that long ago either, is it? 20 years? It's wild.
That's the thing. Like in the late 90s, where did any of us have anything to learn from about hunting?
Yeah.
Like I have a stack of magazines from magazines that aren't even around anymore. And I'd read the magazines and reading the stories and reading the gear they had and the advice they'd have. But it's not really, it wasn't really tangible stuff for me at the time. There's little bits here and there that you can glean. But I think it's very similar to life. You've got to do it wrong so you know why you're doing it right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We had done a lot of things wrong. And you know what? That's half the fun. It really is. How many times do you laugh afterwards? Like, sometimes maybe not in the moment, but later on after you've screwed up a stock and you said to yourself, "Why did I go straight at him when my wind was going straight to him?" Like, was I that eager or was I that dumb?
Yeah.
Or lazy?
Yeah. Right.
So it's fun.
That's awesome. So after that first fly-in with Dad, with the right kind of success when getting your lumps, when did you guys go back and when did you guys get some animals down?
Well, so that first year, okay, actually I didn't tell you the whole story. So that first year we had our tail between our legs, and it was like the day before we were flying out.
Yeah.
the evening before we were flying out. And just before dark, we see on the other side of the lake this moose come out. And, you know, we had these big plans of shooting these big moose or big elk, whatever came across.
Yeah.
Well, there's a little spike fork moose, little 2-pointer, little yearling, right? And I'm like, Dad, we can shoot that thing. We can eat meat. He's like, son, shoot that thing. And I still remember, like, we were throwing we had everything packed up because we weren't sure if we were flying out that night or the next morning.
Yeah.
So I just threw my big sleeping bag roll. It was no joke, like 2 foot in diameter. Threw it on the beach, threw my gun over, and I've got the crosshairs bubbling on this moose. And just as I'm like finally getting ready to shoot, he turns around and goes in the bush. And that sinking feeling of we're eating rice again without meat was overwhelming. So anyway, fast forward the next year, I was like, I'm doing this. So we went back into that area and we did it right. And we ended up getting, I really had an elk fever at the time.
It happens.
And it happened. We got a 6-pointer. Man, I think we might have got a moose too. I can't remember. I did that trip a number of times.
Yeah.
Back to back. And it was a blast. It's always a blast. Like first time or the 40th time. It's something that I've dedicated my not my life to, because that's the wrong word, but my
free time,
my vacation time too.
Yeah.
My rest and relaxation time too. Like I'm really a little bit of a hunting fanatic, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just for the ability to turn the phone off and not be able to communicate with the civilization till we get out. It's you can't really do that in many places in the world these days.
Yeah.
And it's nice, especially as how hard we sometimes work. Like you need that rest. You need to be able to sleep in. You need to be able to work hard. You need to be able to laugh and have nothing behind it. Just enjoy.
Yeah.
That's the company
I don't have that. I don't have that luxury in hunting yet.
You will.
One day.
Tyler, we're going to do it.
One day I'll get there. Yeah. I'm working hard every trip still, getting the body count there. I keep saying at some point I'm going to stop being a liability on these trips, you know?
Oh man. I hope neither of us ever are. That's part of the fun, you know, it's, I often hear these podcasts of these muscular wilderness athletic guys who are out there just chasing down sheep. And I think to myself, man, really doesn't need to be that way. It should, at least not for me. Like I like going out there. I like having fun. I don't have to be the fastest guy. You don't have to be the fastest guy. I'm just an average common nobody.
Yeah.
But we get to go out there. We get to, with a $60 tag in our pocket, we get to chase some of the world's foremost animals and truly have high success rate if you're willing to put in 2 weeks and not let your brain tell you that you can't do it. Because you know me, I'm 30 pounds overweight. Yeah. Still get it done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's no quit. There's no quit.
Sometimes there is. That's the truth.
So I've definitely talked about it on this podcast before, but you're a bit of a sheep nut, and that's where your heart lies. And like, our hunting conversations generally end up with talking sheep.
Yeah. It's hard not to once you've started.
Right. So when did you get bit by the sheep bug?
Oh, sheep bug. I wish you never bit me. How do I start this one? On one of those trips that I was telling you about in the late 90s, my dad and I were going in for moose and elk. And I remember sitting there on the shores waiting for our turn to fly in. And there's this group of 4 guys, maybe 5 guys. And we're all sitting underneath this little shelter because the wind was pretty bad. And this guy had this awesome gun and he was cleaning it and he was playing around with it. And you're on the shore. You got nothing better to do. So you yap with whoever's there.
Yeah.
So I start talking to the guy and he's like, oh, what are you guys going in for? I said, oh, we're going to go in for moose, maybe an elk. And he kind of like, he didn't do an eye roll, but something like that. And so I said, well, what are you going for? He shows me the butt end of his stock. It's a beautiful stone sheep carved into the wood stock. And he looks at me, his eyes kind of cross, and he says, I'm going in for stones. And I still remember, like, and just nothing after that. I'm like, I didn't even know what a stone sheep was, right? Like, well, whatever that guy's bitten by, I don't want anything to do with that.
No, whatever you're dealing with is not for me.
So and then on the shore there as well, I met the guy actually who sold me my tags. He worked at a store. And I never knew him to be a hunter, which he wasn't. He was actually a fisherman. He was going along on a hunting trip, but he was going to do some fishing. So after the fact, when we met back up in November, I needed to buy a deer tag. Yeah. I asked how his trip went, and he started telling me, he's like, oh yeah, we got a couple of elk and a moose and 2 sheep. And I said, sheep, eh? Really? He's like, oh yeah, a couple of sheep. So are they nice? He's like, oh, they're full curl. He didn't know anything what he was talking about. So I said, oh, interesting. I asked him roughly where he went. So he told me. So back then there was no such thing as Google Earth. So I went to the local topographic map store in New Westminster. Bought some maps and went back in and said, hey friend, where did you shoot them? And he put some X's on the map. Guys, it is unbelievable. And I thought to myself, nothing will ever happen from this. But information is very tough to get by for certain animals. And I didn't even know what I had. I just saw a couple of X's and I thought, I'm going to file that in for later. Yeah. So that November, so we bought I bought a mule deer tag, and I took my best friend into on his very first hunting trip in that November, same place I took you this last year. Yeah. And I mean, he was green. He didn't know anything from difference between a mule deer and a whitetail. Yeah, yeah. I just told, like, he had heard my story similar to you, Tyler, and he thought the romance of it all. He had to be part of it.
He's like, this is awesome.
So he was in camp and enjoying it and all that. So we ended up it was one of those really successful trips where a buck came easy for him, and it came easy for all of us, which doesn't always happen. But
I almost don't like that. I almost want it to suck for a while, you know?
So that's what I said to him. I'm like, it's not right for you to go out and straight up shoot up a 4-pointer. You need to go get your spikes and your 2-pointers and maybe your limited entry does. You gotta earn it slowly. But sure enough, he shoots his 4-pointer right off the bat. Oh no. So we're sitting around camp, and the fire's going, and he says, well, Ronny, this is easy. Well, there's got to be something harder out there.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, boy, you just doubled down. I said, I got something harder for you. Let's go for sheep next year. Totally figuring he'd be like...
Call your bluff.
Exactly. Yeah. So he says, okay, let's do it. I'm like, all right, I got my partner. So honestly, the rest is history. We flew in, green as could be, had no idea what we were doing, but it was 2 guys who were at it like a dog on a bone. And we got into the area. We were camped right where we shouldn't, because that's right where the rams are. Yeah. But that's where the X was.
You camped on the X, nice.
So yeah, we had our chances. We ended up coming back with one 8-year-old ram, and missed one that looked like a bighorn. And I thought to myself, next year, buddy, next year we're gonna do it. So we went in the next year. And now we had it all figured out. We'd done one sheep hunt. Oh yeah, we knew.
Sheep hunters.
So, and sometimes being dumb is the right way to be. All those what ifs are just behind you. So we went in, same spot. We knew exactly where they would be, and exactly like I thought they would be. And like I said, being dumb, it actually happened. There was 5 rams in the spot where I had in my mind figured they would be. And to this day, 20 years later, I have still yet to see one sheep that's as big as those 5. It was crazy. Like, it was a group of 5 rams. And one of them, we called him the Gray Ghost. He was well over the bridge of his nose. Oh, wow. Probably 4 inches. And he was broomed off. Tyler, what's that in diameter? 2.5 inches, maybe 2.5 inches broomed off.
Oh, wow.
4 inches over. I never did find out what he aged at. I thought somebody said 13. The reason why I know that is because we were watching that group, and there was a different group of hunters that came in behind us, and believe it or not, 2 groups of hunters ended up shooting 3 of those 5.
Oh wow!
So my buddy and me, we each got one. We each got a 10-year-old. He got the big gray ghost because he was a little bit faster than us. And the other 2 that ran up in the rocks and got out of there were for sure 10 years or older.
Wow.
Like they were all big.
Wow.
And from that point on, I was hooked, truly hooked. Before I was like, the hook was in my mouth, but it was set as soon as I saw the gray ghost go down.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, this is going to be me. One day I'm going to hold a gray ghost or an offspring from him. And 20 years later, I'm still chasing him.
That's wild.
Yeah. We've had opportunities and still waiting. It's always on the next hunt, we're going to get him.
Yeah.
On the next hunt. So
that's awesome.
He's out there.
Yeah. I mean, you'll find him. If anybody's going to find him, it's you.
Well, his offspring's made the cover of Eastman. So we've seen that one.
There you go.
But we didn't shoot.
That's wild.
Anyway,
so we'll
get them.
Yeah, so that's like a couple of years into sheep hunting, and that's 20 some odd years ago. So there's some high points since then.
We've had some real high points. We've had some low points.
Yeah.
I'd say some of the highest points I've had is not necessarily success or personal success, but it's been the group I've been with.
Oh, nice.
Seeing even like our trip last year, what a highlight.
Yeah, that was a great trip.
Just to enjoy, like not even packing my gun around, just you and me going in the bush, like that is fun. Doing that midnight mile with the deer on our back, trying to get out of Hell's Canyon or whatever that canyon we want to call it was.
It's the deepest spot in Earth.
Like really, remember like when we were hiking up that mountain and there was like the moon wasn't out, just the stars are in the sky. And you get that, you have the euphoria from the culmination of 5 days of hunting and success on your back and just knowing that it's done and you're just doing the work and you see like the stars in the sky and you're just like, there's this true joy. It's not happiness. It's like joy, this joy that wells up within you.
Yeah. That
you can't get from buying a car or, closing a business deal. Those are just fleeting happinesses. Yeah. But this is, I don't know if it's joy, but like it's from like your soul crying out. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of can't really explain it.
I don't think you can. I think it's one of those things you have to experience, right? Because like I've tried to put it into words a few times and I can't come up with a good way to explain how you feel when that's going on. Like you say, at the end of a 5-day thing and you work so hard for it. And I don't think you put it in words. I think you have to live it to know what that's like. Right.
I think so. The big thing is the people you're with.
Totally.
Like, I know people always say, it's not the hunt. It's not the kill. And it isn't.
No.
In some ways it is. And in many ways it isn't. It's like the relationships that are galvanized along the way.
Yeah.
Or even lost along the way. That happens too.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like anything where you can have fair weather friends that when you're into those canyons that are going to beat you up and they're not wanting to help drag your buck, like you realize, okay, well, this is a friend that I can have in certain scenarios, but not in others. Well,
I mean, I normally hunt by myself, right? And then I became friends with Chad there. And the guy's bulletproof. He's become one of my best friends because of how we hunt together and the relationship that we made out in the woods. It's like, you're right. You definitely either, I think you weed out some friends out there for sure. Right. But, yeah. No.
I don't know. I think that the chaff is burned away and the grain remains, like it's, But it's not just hunting that does that. A lot of life things can happen when you're down and out. You see who comes to you.
Yeah.
But it is fascinating to suffer and to struggle and to have joy and happiness and grinning and bearing it with certain people. And some people it's just so much fun to be with.
Oh,
and
yeah.
other people, boy, oh boy, you've hunted with them once and that's enough.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than a sourpuss, you know.
My pack out last year, it was like the never ending hill. Hey. And like, I remember you took this video when we thought we were close to camp, but we were not close to camp. And in the video, you're like, yeah, 4 hours in, we're 10 minutes from camp, I think you said, and we were like a good 4 hours. Like we were like not close.
Spoiler alert, that's my secret weapon.
Yeah. To
keep you going.
I was fine. I was loving it. I was dying, but I was loving it. It was good. No, that was fun. That was a good one. So everybody talks about how grueling mountain hunting can be, and how much it can beat you up and how hard the conditions can be. And I think I said this to you the other day. I was like, I think people make mountain hunting sound as hard as possible to keep people out of the mountains a little bit. But you have some crazy stories from weather coming in and getting stuck out there and all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think like human nature is to make ourselves out to be bigger than we really are.
Yeah,
we're really just a bag of meat.
Yeah,
we're all the same. We all boil at the same temperature. You know, we all come in different shapes and sizes, but we can all do it.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about hunting, like whether you're truck hunting because you're 350 pounds or goat hunting because you have no fear of heights. It does encompass all of us. We can all do it. And I think to your point, when you say people make out mountain hunting to be harder or really hard, there's aspects of it that is tough for sure. Just like life, you know, I mean, you get married, there's tough in there. You have kids, there's tough in there. You have friendships that go sideways. It's all tough. But how do you deal with adversity? I think that's the big thing, whether or not you're gonna make your hunting career a success or not. So can you dig down? Can you wipe off the tears or the sleepless night that you had and go out there the next day and find an animal or even just sit on a ridge and have freezing toes and freezing fingers and know that you're going to lose your toenails, but it's part of the fun.
Yeah.
That's just, it is a little bit of a state of mind, and it doesn't matter if you're super fit or super fat. If you can have a strong mental outlook, you will be successful. Yeah. Whether it's in the first year or the fifth year, you're going to figure it out. I noticed that early on when we were doing these fly-ins on one of the first sheep hunts we did. There's a couple of guys there on the shore, probably I guess now my age, like in their mid 40s. I thought they were old back then. Yeah. But they had a little bit of a belly, not a huge one, but it was decent enough to say, oh yeah, I mean, you're not going to go too far in the sheep woods. Yeah. Well, they ended up getting a really nice ram between the two of them. Yeah. And then and I was talking to them and they had been successful year after year. So it's and I thought to myself, like, it actually made a pretty big impact. Like, what are they doing? Is it the spot? Well, there's a lot of good spots. Yeah. I think it really is in your head. So like I've joked around that, you know, these people with their really expensive gear think they're going to be more successful than a you or I. And I actually have to tell myself to downplay that. And the guys used to get it done in Wranglers. They used to get it done in boots that had heels. Like, you look at those pictures, they had heels on their boots. It's crazy. Yeah. So my brother-in-law a number of years ago laughed at it all and said, I pack whole apples on my sheep hunts. And I thought to myself, are you serious? I started doing that too. It's not to like apples are heavy, but it's more that mind game with myself where I know that there's going to be days where I don't want to get up. There's days I don't want to go over that mountain, but I know that I've kind of like laughing with myself saying, yeah, it's the apples that are slowing me down. It's not my head. It's the this or that. So I go eat an apple, make myself a little lighter, so I can get over that next ridge. It's so funny.
That's clever.
It's my own little joke.
I like it. I like it.
But it is heavy. There's a good 3 pounds of apples in my bag, and when your bag's pushing like some say 70, and I don't weigh it on purpose because I don't want to know.
Yeah, no, you never want to know.
It's quite. I don't know, maybe stupid to have it in there, but I love it. It helps my mental state because I need something to blame when I'm not feeling so spry in the morning.
To your point, I think on the last podcast I did with Luke, I was saying like all the success I found is just from like not quitting, like just being there, being in the woods, getting after it every day. Even if you're completely beat up and whatever, you still go. Mm-hmm. Still get up and get her done.
That's a life lesson, right? I mean, that's the truth.
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah.
Just keep marching on. Yeah. Even if you don't have like Mama Noodle to warm up with or whatever. Right? That stuff is something else.
Yeah.
Nothing like getting the runs when you're in the bush. Thanks, Ronnie.
No problem, Tyler. Anytime.
So your guys is, did you say it was your first year sheep hunting? You guys took sheep?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Tyler, it's, we had some string of luck for sure.
Yeah.
But we had a couple of things that looking back now, I realized that we're really fortunate, and whether it was on purpose or whether it was by accident or however it was, somebody paid it forward to me, and that's kind of where like when you were getting into hunting.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, Tyler, I'll show you some stuff. I think it's very important for our community that we don't keep so much tight to our chest.
Yeah.
But we play with a little bit more open cards. And my dad taught me this too. There's been countless stories where it should have been his deer and he just gave it to somebody who wouldn't even say thank you.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
So, man, what were we saying?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Paying it forward.
Yeah, paying it forward. Yeah. Well, I said you guys had a good string of luck on your first season of sheep there.
Right. So, yeah, we were lucky to be pointed in the right direction.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough to have enough know-how from my father who mentored me to be able to survive in the bush and to thrive as well. So between knowing you're in the right spot, having some skill in your back pocket, like there's really, you can hunt every species in BC.
Yeah. You
can do it, and you can do it safely, and anything done enough will breed success if you're counting success as animals on the ground. So it's sure we were lucky that first year, and it was a gift. Like,
yeah, we
in a way stumbled across them, but the next year we went out a little more confident than the first year.
Yeah,
and we were successful again. And then the year after that, we were even a little more confident and had more success. And it was just the success built, and also our bars got higher, which is really cool. Like, that's actually really the fun part about hunting. It's not that you're saying, oh, it's got to be a huge animal for me to pull the trigger. No, it's like, I've done this. Now what's my next goal? Is my next goal to now shoot a bigger animal, or hike in further, or maybe show somebody else how it's done, or like there's so many ways of succeeding doing this that hits so many different markers. And like, I actually really, really love it. Like, my son now is into hunting. He turned 10, I guess, last year, and got his license right away. And there's nothing better than showing somebody new to this, what hunting's about. Yeah. And I know, like, I see it, like his hunting mind is, yay small, but it will be eventually this big, right?
Yeah.
So, and being able to pour in where I should, and also where just let him make a mistake here. Let him be too loud. Let him chase the deer off of this hill. Who cares? Yeah. It's not about putting an animal on the ground. It's about being side by side or front to back, hiking the hills and enjoying our time there. Yeah. Not getting frustrated or angry that he's stepping on every loud bush that he could, or talking loud when the deer is like 50 yards away. Like, all that doesn't matter. Yeah. It's that he's with me, that
you're having that experience.
Yeah. Having a good time.
You have a little bow hunter on your hands though. Sorry.
Thanks for that, Tyler.
Yeah. I know, that was awesome.
Really, thanks.
So good. So if you walk around your house, Ronny, it tells quite the story of past hunts. So moving forward from those first 2 seasons over the next 20 years, there's been a handful of sheep put on the ground, huh? You don't have to say a number or anything. No, don't. Yeah,
it's not about that ever.
Yeah. I was just kind of.
I've hunted sheep since 2001. Basically every year, sometimes 2 hunts. Longest string of a hunt I did was 5 weeks. So you can imagine.
You've seen some
2 weeks times 20 years. Average. There's a lot of bush days, so we're going to see some success.
Yeah,
that's me. That would be you. That would be anybody listening now. If they're willing to get up in the morning before it's light and start hiking, they will have success. We were fortunate enough to hunt in the early 2000s when Kuyu wasn't around yet. That particular brand has done a lot of good for the sheep hunting community, but it's made it also that a lot of people are out there.
Yeah.
It's brought awareness to this little fan club we have called Sheep Hunters. And it hasn't brought down the success rate, I would say, for people in the woods. But now I have to be aware more that there's going to be more groups where I'm hunting. Yeah, it used to be like, I knew that it's probably just me and maybe one other group. Now there's probably 5 groups. So it's you got to start hunting it a little more strategic. You got to think, where are these rookie hunters going to be going?
Yep.
And where are the sheep going to be? Where are the rams going to be? Where are the big rams going to be? And you have to start thinking that way rather than, is it August? Is it September? Is it late September? Where would the big rams be? Are they now on certain slopes, or are they still up high or whatnot? So it's morphed how I do things. But at the same time, I've gotten a lot more picky. Like I said earlier, like, it's not about putting sheep on the ground. It's about the opportunity of roaming the hills and the peaks where they live.
Yeah.
Like that's the fun part. It's always anticlimactic when we actually succeed. Don't get me wrong. If the ram's big, we're shooting it, but it's I actually really enjoy the pursuit often a lot more than the success.
Yeah.
So like, personally, I haven't gotten one since 2014. It doesn't mean I haven't had opportunities, but it's I'm not looking. So my own goal is, I'm not looking for just another ram. I'm looking for that gray ghost. I'm looking for something even bigger than him. And it probably actually will never happen. But knowing that I've seen that, knowing that I'm in the right area that has those genetics, that I've seen a number of opportunities that, had it been a little bit different, we would have had one of those on, gets me up in the morning, gets me out there in the fall. And it's that dream that I'm going to close the deal on the big one that I actually really hope never happens. Because then I think I might look around and go, okay, what's next?
Time to hang them up.
Well, time to switch base and maybe start chasing goats. And
focus on blacktail.
no, heaven forbid, no. I've hunted them enough to know that I don't want to be an awesome blacktail hunter.
They're like the bane of everyone's existence, hey?
Oh, Tyler, I told you right off the bat, don't get excited about blacktail. Those things are hard.
I spend so much time trying to kill them.
Yeah, it's fun. Me too.
That was a good photo today, right?
That was a real nice photo. He's going to be a dandy.
Yeah. He's going to be dead with a stick bow, probably.
Some road hunter will take him. No,
don't say that. That's not funny. That's not funny.
No, it's the truth.
Oh no, that's wild. So you have taken, I think you've taken everything in BC except a caribou yourself, right?
No. I'd like to think so, but not even close. Actually, I've really dedicated my hunting to sheep and mule deer and elk. Those were my focuses. It started with mule deer, of course, as a youngster.
Yeah.
Then in my late teens, early 20s, went into to moose and elk, but moose never really got me excited. And I pursued elk for a number of years, and then it just went to sheep, and I haven't really looked back. I'm surprised, actually. Like I figure I would have got bored by now. But it's actually not the case. It hasn't even waned a bit.
That's cool.
I don't even know if it's increased. I think just as the knowledge has been gained, it just morphs. But there's always this desire that's just pulling me into the bush, saying, "Let's go find a big ram. Let's go see what's over that hill. Let's go lay in these crazy flowers that nobody gets to see, or see this painted lake up at the top of a peak that you wouldn't even know that there's a mountain lake up here, and it's truly like 100% baby blue, like a blue that only an artist could paint."
Yeah,
like God Himself has painted this lake up here, and it might only be us that got to enjoy it this year. Maybe one other person that year. It's amazing. Like, that's the stuff that's awesome, right? Like, not to romanticize too much, but like, it's fun. It is fun to pursue those animals. So I think that's why it hasn't gotten boring is the wrong word, but I guess old.
Yeah.
So no, we've on one of the hunts I took my dad on. He ended up getting three of the mountain species. So that was fun to be a part of. Like, I've actually never taken a caribou myself.
Yeah.
We've seen a number that we could have, but no way, not where we were, not a chance. They're way too big. They're way too heavy. And that pack space is reserved for only a sheep. Yeah. No, it's too far back, but, no, we've chased a lot of different species, many unsuccessfully. So, yeah. No, I've got still another 30 years of hunting in me. Yes. And I think it'll be firmly planted in BC as long as our ruling powers allow us to.
Yeah. How come stones? How come not Callies or Rockies?
Because your truck's right there.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Well, you need a plane. You need a jet boat. You need to be able to be away. I shouldn't say that. If somebody put an X on a map where there's some Rocky Mountains, I think I'd go with them.
Hey, we have an X for Callies that we have to go visit.
Do we?
Yeah, I sent you it.
Yeah, I know. You sent me a lot of stuff.
That's true. That's true. I do.
No, it's why I'm not sure. I think because the lure of the North has been a part of me for 20 years. It's I just get happy when I start driving the Alaska Highway. It's something else, and being so far away from home, so far away from the worries of life, so far away from civilization itself is like that truly is the old West to me.
Yeah.
So to be able to sit on the side of a highway for 30 days in a row, waiting for your one opportunity. Yeah, it can be done. It truly never tickled me.
No.
It's not just to have an animal on the wall.
Yeah.
Right. It's now, don't get me wrong. If I'm driving down the highway and I stop for a pee break and I see one there, I'm chasing them. I'll shoot them where I'm allowed. But it just never tickled me. We did a Tatanshini trip one time for Doll. That was something else.
Yeah,
that's a far trip. Like, my hat's off to anybody who's willing to do that. I only did it once, and that was enough.
Yeah, it's wild, eh?
It is a wild place. When you have a sign as soon as you enter back into BC, and it says the nearest RCMP 1,200 kilometers east, nearest ambulance 1,200 kilometers east, nearest fire department 1,200 kilometers east. You're like, okay, yeah, we're in a remote part of BC that almost nobody gets to see. So in a way, I like it that way. I like it that there's parts of this continent that still doesn't see too much foot traffic.
Yeah.
But after stomping around, I see why I never went back.
No, that's LEH only to that area, right?
Yeah.
It's a cool spot. I mean, if we want to kill a doll, we'll definitely have to go there at some point, right?
Yeah, let's go.
So aside from sheep, is there anything else that gets you fired up that you're excited about right now?
Oh, everything changed now that my son's got his license. So
yeah,
I don't know. I do have this. I have a heart for mule deer. Not everywhere. Like you were saying on your podcast, couple listens ago, you were talking about the romance of hunting mule deer on some of these windswept areas.
Yeah,
it's it. Every time I go back there, I feel like I'm that 14-year-old boy hiking behind my dad, and being lost in the awe of a young man. Like it's like coming home fresh again.
Yeah.
And I completely forget about that for 51 weeks of the year. And then when we go back for a 4 or 5 day hunting trip, it washes over me, and it's like all those memories and all the fondness and the people who walked these hills before me, that a bunch of them are my relatives, and many of them aren't alive anymore. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Knowing that we're doing it exactly like they did back in the 70s, and chasing these animals on their terrain, when besides the rifle, they have every other advantage. It's fun. Yeah. It is really fun. And I love the late season mule deer for the fact that, first of all, they get a little bit more dumb.
Yeah.
But second of all, the hunting days is so much shorter.
Yeah.
I love the fact that, like, you can't be hunting until like 7:30 in the morning, and you're back in camp close to around 5 p.m. So you have this long or a short window to hunt and a long window to hang out with whoever you're with.
Should we tell the audience what I do during that long window? I just go to sleep immediately.
It works out for me because I get to eat your food then.
Yeah, I don't think I ate for like 3 days of that last trip.
Yeah, I think you ate half your plate the first day, and then I worked you so hard that you didn't eat anymore.
That's not unusual for me though. It's like
that wasn't usual for me. Like for me, it's like that's when our party begins. Like where we get to just hang out and talk about the day and talk about family or just enjoy.
Yeah.
Like I truly that's when I get rest. That's when I get sleep. That's when my insides are filled by friendships and stories and laughing and enjoyment and knowing that like everything else is doesn't mean a thing. We're just having a good time. So I love that about the November hunt.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I definitely was crashing hard on that hunt though.
I just felt sorry for your shoulder.
Yeah, with that stupid bag. Oh my goodness!
I've never seen that before.
That was awesome.
There's few firsts, and I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I shouldn't have brought a brand new bag on that trip. That was dumb. I didn't fit in the bag. So there you go.
So for those of you who are listening, like, poor Tyler, he's got big shoulders, and he had a bag that could not zip up.
I bought it specifically for this trip.
I don't know what you're thinking, because that was the wrong bag.
Yeah, no, it's all wrong. All wrong. It's bad.
So I got my -40 rectangle bag from 1970s that I bought at like Salvation Army for like $10. But I go to sleep in my underwear. Like, it doesn't matter if it's -15 out. Seriously, I'm in my underwear. It's like within 2 minutes, the down it's hot inside. It's got also this fleece liner.
Yeah, it's sweet.
It's super comfortable.
I was jealous.
It even has a flap that can flip over my head if it's too cold. It's golden.
With my like $400 super high end mountaineering bag, I was envious because my shoulders were too wide to zip up that sucker, and I about froze to death. So that was great.
So Tyler, all he could do was lay on his side, on his you're facing me, on your left side, and the zipper would go up to probably where his chest was, because his shoulders were just too big. And I'm not kidding you, like, it was cold. How cold was it? It was like -10. What is that? I don't even know in
Fahrenheit. It was cold. Yeah, it was real cold.
It was cold.
Our Nalgene's were freezing during the day, and we were boiling our water off to have drinking water.
Yeah, that was during the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was cold, and then but you know what? I at one point I'm like, you know, as a good mentor, like you say, a good mentor, I probably should sacrifice my own bag for at least one good night.
I wouldn't have taken it.
And then I thought to myself, no, I learned from my lumps. It's like when you let your kid skin his knee, and you know what's going to happen on a skateboard or whatever.
Yeah.
But you just got to let it happen so you can learn. Tyler, I don't think you're using that bag this next year.
I gave it to my wife.
Wow, you're cruel.
Yeah. Well,
you should burn that thing.
No, she'll fit in it though, right? No. So the moral of the story is, if you buy a new bag, make sure you try it before you go anywhere.
It was funny, you know what? Like this is one of those memories that, like I was talking about earlier, like that's the stuff that's fun. We look back and laugh and suffer through it, and you kept your positive attitude the whole time, and that's so critical for success, right? To be able to not go, oh, I didn't sleep well last night. Oh, my nostrils froze off. Well, whatever, just suck it up, learn, get out there and shoot a deer.
Your nose
then we get to go home.
Your nose will turn the normal color again one day. It'll be fine. No, that was awesome. It was funny, man. I wouldn't have changed it for the world, especially now in retrospect. Like, it's such a funny story.
Yeah, I know it.
What hunts do you have coming up that you're excited for? I know this is a fly-in year for you because the past couple of years you've been so busy, right?
Yeah. So last year is the first year that I didn't do a fly-in. So this year I'm really I'm itching doubly because I felt like, last year was supposed to happen, and then we're in the middle of this building a house or whatever, and then I just couldn't get away, and the partners that I was supposed to go with, they ended up doing really well in an area where we had plotted but never treaded. So they manned up and did something that I don't think I could have done, and I tell you, they have a story. They have a story for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I've never met them.
You will one day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you're talking about real sheep hunters, those guys.
Yeah, I don't want to hunt with them though.
No, me either.
Forget that.
I hate hunting with them.
I know. I hear their stories secondhand from you. And I'm like, those guys are not for me, man.
Well, I'm not a small guy. I'm 5'10".
Yeah,
that's a good average. Now those guys, like the one guy, his waist is probably close to my shoulders. Like, deadfall is no problem for him. He's like a moose.
That's awesome. There's an advantage for guys like us, though, like 5'9", 5'10". When we're whipping through the bush and we're walking under stuff, it's hitting them right in the face. It's like a major advantage.
I thought in the crotch.
Yeah, well, whatever. It was funny. I was in my elk spot with my buddy Sky, and I was like zipping through stuff. He's like, dude, you gotta slow down. I'm just getting hit in the face with frozen branches. Like, he's like 6'6", right?
That's the problem with being the follower.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, it's so this year I want to get my big stone, just like I've been saying year after year after year. But I'm gonna Lord willing, that we're gonna go out and chase them for 2 weeks and try our hand again.
That'd be cool.
See what fate has for us.
You're flying in September, right?
We'll see. Got to get this house done.
Yeah.
So somewhere between July 27 and October 3.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But no, it'll be a good time. It always is. As long as the weather cooperates. We've only had a few years where we've been beat down, and it's actually been the last few years where it's been near impassbeen. Doesn't matter your mental strength. You can just waste your time hiking through 3 feet of snow, and it's just unsuccessful. Yeah. So that's been the last few years. But no, this year I think they're going to be where I think they've always been, and I think big old 13-year-old's waiting for me.
That'd be nice. Well, it's been a nice month.
He knows it.
Probably. He's probably just like, where is Ronnie, man?
Yeah, he doesn't want to get chewed on by a wolf this year.
No.
He's ready.
Well, he's right about to kick off because he's so old, too. So now's the time.
It's time.
We had a nice mild winter this year, too. So maybe they're drinking lots of water and getting nice and fat for you.
Well, I just need one big one.
Right.
No, it'll be good. It's always a good time. The one cool thing with sheep and goats, I've been in the wilderness quite a bit over the last few years, and I've seen the decline of certain species. Moose aren't nearly there like they were. Elk have not crashed, but they're way less as well. Caribou too, but I haven't tracked them as much. But I tell you, like goats and sheep are just as they've always been. So even though there's more people in the bush, if you look at the numbers, it's the exact same numbers being shot this year, the year before that. It's all within 2%. So it's not like those numbers are declining, and that's encouraging for an old sheep hunter like me who can't outrun some of these young guys. Yeah, just to know that there's still going to be that X amount that are taken, whether through the outfitter or through residents. There's no decline in the amount of legal animals. Now, the cool thing with BC, for those who don't know, like it needs to be a full curl rule, or at least with the thin horn, the 8-year-old or older. Yeah. And there's this isn't the podcast to talk about age and the benefit of having some of the old timers still on the hills or shooting 7-year-olds. Like I don't want to talk about that, but what I want to just mention is that it's still a great time to hunt sheep. People look at certain times of certain decades, say, "Oh, that was the time for sheep. That was the time for moose. That was the time for elk." Like it's been the time for sheep for the last 20 years. It's been the time for sheep for the last 40 years. It's awesome. The numbers are great. So as long as people are not getting super itchy and shooting ones they shouldn't, there will be sheep there for my kids. Cool. And I'm excited about that. And there's a lot of good work that some of these organizations are doing, like the Wild Sheep Society, and even I really like that you got that little plug at the beginning of your podcast. Yeah. Like it really is making a big difference. And I think so too. Sometimes we feel like as hunters, what can I do? I'm just one man. Hey, we're all doing it, right? Just do a little bit, and that's all we're called to. That's such a valid point, man. And like the turnout on that Act Now campaign it's pathetic.
It's honestly pathetic. It's like there's 100,000 registered resident hunters in BC right now, active hunters, and we're getting like 8,500 signatures.
That's about right, though.
It's a joke.
I don't know. I think that's about right.
Yeah, but
you take any sort of interest. You take archery.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's a fanatic? Who's a fanatic enough to care enough to take some time out of their day and write?
Yeah.
Like 10%?
Yeah, maybe.
I think it'd be more of a fascinating question to say how many Sheep Society members are there and how many are writing in, because they're fanatics. Like, that's.
I bet you that number is quite high.
I bet that's more like 40%.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but
yeah.
I think as soon as you're trying to take a really broad swath of people and say, why isn't everybody doing it? It's just, for so many of the guys, it's just a pastime. It's time to go drinking with their buddies or making a fire and that sort of thing. It's not everybody's like us. Right?
Yeah.
So, and when it comes to the numbers, okay, it's a shame. I really wish we had 100,000 signatures. Like that would be great. Like it's, but it's like anything. We can do what we can do, and we can be happy with what we did. Like you and I signed the form. You're talking about it.
Yeah.
I talk to people at work about the benefits of eating meat without hormones. Like, I'm happy with what I'm doing. You're happy with what you're doing. To look at the bigger picture, going, not enough people are signing this form. Hey, it sucks.
Yeah.
But I think that's human nature. I don't think we'll ever get. If we need to set our targets right. Mm-hmm. So I think 8,500 is a good average of, not good, maybe a little bit less than good, but I would have been surprised if it surpassed 10,000.
Yeah. I guess I should say it like, I don't expect it to get more than that, but I feel like it should, like if people care about it, because you don't even have to be a hunter to sign it. It's like,
well, think about even the gun email that went, or whatever it was, that form that we filled out about 6 months, 9 months ago.
Yeah.
Like how many gun toters are there in Canada, and how many signed up? I actually don't remember the numbers, but it was something like, was it 100,000 signatures?
I don't know.
Well, there's probably 1 million gun toters, right? Like, I bet that percentage is very similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's interesting for sure. It's just, I'd like to see a bigger turnout on it is all right.
I agree. And I'm really glad that you keep mentioning it.
Yeah.
Because it's, it is for people who have the ability to reach more. They should be pushing it even more.
Yeah.
I got the ability to reach 1 or 2 a day max, right? So, so I'm not shy about it. I'm also not preachy about it, because then people tune out as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually quite fun to poke the bear a little bit, and some of the people I work for or work with say, hey, and open up into a leading question that I already know the answer to, and they get dumbfounded with their inability to even know what's really going on, and you can really steer that conversation in a gentle sort of way, not in a pointed out saying I told you so, in a way where they go, I never seen that perspective before.
That's the truth. Like I find like talking to random people too, and not like cornering them or ambushing them with a conversation about hunting. But if it comes up in conversation and you get the opportunity to educate somebody on the topic, people are receptive to it, man.
I think so. One-on-one.
Yeah.
One-on-one. Like
totally.
Social media is a different creature in itself. So
yeah, I think, it certainly is.
I think that's going to be a tough one to break through, but people are generally fairly receptive to information and points of view if they're brought out in a respectful sort of manner. And I think that as humans, that's the least that we can do, to respect somebody who has a differing opinion and to be able to talk to them about it. Like, I don't understand why a lot of people do what they do, but they're excited about it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Eat more granola. I don't care. Like, that's fine. If you got a good reason.
Great. I think Shockey put it really well when he was on here. Like 10% are pro hunting, 80% or somewhere in the middle, or following whatever with the most recent story that they saw was. And then the last 10% are, adamantly against whatever hunting or whatever. Right. I think that was a cool way to frame it. Right. Cause I often think about hunting as 90% of the population's against us. Mm-hmm. Whereas it's that 80% in the middle is ours to lose.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth. Right.
I think so.
That's interesting perspective. I don't think you'll ever lose people in big numbers through this sort of thing, because humans have a resiliency to think for themselves.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of the masses that can be swayed, but I still have faith in humanity that we're not all stupid. I know you look around at the politics and you think, man, maybe I'm wrong on that perspective. But I think it's just those 10% that are really loud.
Yeah.
And the other 10% are really quiet.
Yeah.
So sadly, the people who are usually the 10% who are quiet are usually the ones who are thinking a little more.
Yeah.
And maybe are a little bit older and recognize the fact that people sometimes just need to talk and vent. But I wish there was there was a better way to bring our point across as hunters in a broader sort of way, without having all of the media against us before we even start.
Yeah.
Just that is the frustrating thing. And I really I do want to push people towards at least looking at the Wild Sheep Society's website at the very least, maybe even pushing them into some sort of a 1-year membership, because those dollars really do go far.
Oh yeah.
I actually fought that for a long time. I wasn't a member until more recently, let's say.
Yeah.
Because I always thought it was like this club where, if you want to be a sheep hunter, you got to be part of the club.
Yeah.
You got to get your name on some sort of a page or whatever. And I don't subscribe to those sort of philosophies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love being the nobody.
Yeah, I know you do. A couple times on here, I've said, Ron's got a gazillion sheep, yada, yada, yada. And every time we're like,
yeah. I'm just a nobody, Nobody look at me. I just want to do my thing.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm gonna post pictures of your barn with this in the show notes.
Oh no!
I'm kidding.
Show one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But I did realize as I could kind of get past my own uniqueness to realize that this group is doing the right things for the animals.
Yeah.
They're doing the right thing. Like, if I want my kids to be hunting these animals, where's the money going to go to? Is it going to go to the ministry? Is it going to go to some lobby group that who's gonna speak up for sheep? Who's going to speak up for elk? Who's going to speak up for black bear? There's a lot of clubs out there that just talk a lot.
Yeah.
I actually really, really like I had to swallow my own pride and say, no, I was wrong. They were right.
Yeah.
So when I noticed that's when I signed up for a life membership, just right off the bat. It was like, no, they're doing it right. Here's my X amount of dollars. Go do it.
Yeah.
So gone to a few of their fundraisers, and they're a hoot. I wish this COVID would go away. We're not going to talk about that, but I wish it would go away so we can go back to the March Madness in Kamloops. Like, what a ride. Tyler, I'm taking you.
Yeah. Well, I very rarely I very seldomly enjoy leaving my house, that unless it's to go hunting, but you'll be able to drag me to one, I think.
Yeah, it is a blast. And I'm not a drinker. I know a lot of people out there drink. That just doesn't float my boat.
Yeah.
I love hanging out with people who are as stupid as me, who love the sheep.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
That's good. That's probably a good spot to kill this thing, and we'll save some for next time because we'll keep dragging you on here.
Oh, Tyler, I promised you one. We'll see. I like being a nobody.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review. If you want to support the podcast, please check out the gear on our website at www.wildernesslocals.net.